Hello and welcome to the ninth video lecture of Operations Research, Semester 4, Module number 3. In today's video lecture, we shall be doing one of the problems of finding IBFS, that is Initial Basic Feasible Solution of a transportation problem using Northwest Corner method. So let us begin. The problem, just like our previous problem, is given in the form of a matrix, and we are supposed to find out the IBFS using Northwest Corner method. So the problem is given in the form of a matrix here, and as I've told you already in my previous lecture that factories, that is from goods move from the factories to warehouses or godowns. So it can be anything. So whatever is the initial, factories are the initial the initial place where the goods will be there, and they move from factories to warehouses. So initial, whatever initially wherever the goods will be there, that will be on the left hand side, and finally where the goods should reach, that is their destination, should be on the top. So sources, these are also known as sources, 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 and these are known as destination, destination, destination. So this is about the problem, and let us start with the problem. Now there are four factories, F1, F2, F3, F4, and three warehouses, W1, W2, W3. The first step is always to check whether the total supply is equal to total demand or not. So what is the total supply? I'll write it here itself. You have to write it in the form of this: total supply equal to, add up all this, 8 plus 22, this you have to add 8 plus 22, 30, 40, 50, 60. So the total supply is 60. What is the total demand? Find out the total demand. Yeah, sorry, total demand. Here you have to find out the total of these things. So what is the total of these things? This is also 60. So you have to write total supply is equal to total demand, and hence the problem is balanced. If the problem is balanced, then only you can proceed ahead. If it is not balanced, then you have to uh, balance it, and how to balance it we are gonna see in the next problem. So now total supply is equal to total demand, that is what we have got, and hence we can continue with our allocation. Now as we have seen in the northwest corner method, you have to look at the cost matrix only. You should not look at the supply and the demand part. So in the cost matrix, which is the northwest cell, the northwest cell is nothing but the top left corner. So which is the number at the top left corner? At the top left corner we have this, that is 5. So we are supposed to allocate minimum of supply and demand at that point. So now see what is, we have to allocate here, we know now. So what is the supply here? Just see in this row, what is the supply? 8. In this column, what is the supply? 5. What is the minimum number of 8 and 5? It is 5. So we have to allocate 5 in that cell. So now start allocating 5. So I'll be allocating 5. It should not come outside this column because I do not have much space. I'm forced to write this way, but actually it should come within that box itself. Okay, once you allocate 5, you have to cancel 5 from here, so that is reduce 5. So 5 minus 5 is 0, and now new supply is 8 minus 5 is 3. Remember one thing, that you have to reduce 5 from both supply as well as demand of that row and column. Okay, so it looks like this. Now fine, you have allocated 5 and the remaining supply is 0, and this, because this has become 0, I'm cancelling this out. Whichever row or column becomes 0, you have to cancel it out. Now that I've cancelled it out, what is the next step? Next step is I have to see the remaining part of the cost matrix. The remaining part of the cost matrix is this, which is the top left corner. The top left corner is this. Now again allocate. How much you have to allocate now? Again, minimum of supply and demand. What is the supply here? Supply here is, new supply is 3, and what is the new demand here in this column? It is 25. What is the minimum of 3 and 25? It is 3. So you have to allocate 3 here. So let's continue by allocating 3 here. So I'll be writing 3, 3 I have allocated, and I am cancelling, reducing 3 from both the sides. So here it is 0 and here it is 22. Okay, this has become, which has become 0, row or column? The row has become 0, so I am cancelling out the entire row. Now in the remaining part, which is the top left corner in the remaining not cancelled ones, so that only we have to check. It is 4. There, how much what is the supply and what is the demand? The supply there is 22 and the demand is also 22. So which is the minimum number out of 22 and 22? It is 22 itself, so you can allocate 22 there. So allocate 22 here. So I have allocated 22 here. So reduce 22 from here, it becomes 0. Reduce 22 from here, this also becomes 0. So in this case, both the row as well as column has become 0. So the row has cancelled and the column has also cancelled. Whichever becomes 0, that you have to cancel. And suppose if both of them become 0, that is both the row as well as column have become 0, then both of them you have to cancel it. Now you have to look at the remaining part. In the remaining part, which is the top left corner? Top is 8, there is no left, so consider that itself. So you have to allocate here, right? Yeah. So what is the supply here? The supply here is 10 and the demand here is 30. So you have to supply 10 here. So what will happen in this case? What is the minimum of 30 and 10? It is 10. So you have to allocate 10 here. So start allocating 10. Okay, 10. Understand, this is 10. So the remaining part, this is 0, this becomes 20, right? So it is like this. 10 I have allocated here. In this case, you can see 10 I have allocated, this has become 20, this has become 0. So after cancellation, this becomes, because this has become 0, I have cancelled it out and the row has gone. Now which is the cell that you have to allocate? There is only one cell that is remaining, that is this. there is no top, there is no left, so you there is only one option left with you, that is this cell. So you have to allocate there itself. What is the supply there? The supply there is 20. What is the demand there? That is also 20. What is the minimum of supply in 20? That is 20 itself. 20 and 20, what is the minimum of this? That is 20 itself. So allocate 20 here. So after you allocate 20 here, what will happen? Suppose I allocate 20 here, so this becomes 0 and this also becomes 0. Because these two become 0, you have to cancel it out, this as well as this. Fine. So it looks like this. Okay. So now the next step is you have to show allocation. In a previous problem, we have just directly found out the transportation cost by multiplying and adding this. Only this part we have done. But it is always better to show the allocations also. That is where these allocations have happened, from where this 5 into 5 has come. So this can be shown through a table. Factory, that is this, warehouses here, and transportation cost you can write here. So these three, factory, all the factories in a row, f1 f1 f2 f3, sorry, factories you should write. Now first allocation is here, f1 to w1. Fine. F1 to w1. So f1 to w1. Okay. F1 to w1, this represents this. So what is this? 5 into 5. Okay, like in a previous problem. So 5 into 5 is 25. 5 units at the rate of 5 rupees per unit. So total cost is 5 into 5, that is 25 rupees. The next allocation is here, that is f1 to w2. So f1 to w2, that is 8 into 3. You can see 8 into 3. Okay, so 8 3s are 24. The next one is this, that is f2 to w2. So f2 to w2. Okay, so what is this? f2 to w2, 4 into 22. You can see this, 4 into 22. Next one is this, that is f3 to w3. f3 to w3, what is it? 8 into 10. So 8 into 10 I am writing here. Fine. And the last allocation which is there is here, that is f4 to w3. f4 to w3. And what is this? f4 to w3, that is 7 into 20. So 7 into 20 I am writing here. So total of this, find out, that is 357. That is your minimum transportation cost based upon your IBFS, that is initial basic feasible solution. So I hope you have understood this problem. If you have any difficulties, you can always contact us between 6 and 6:30 in the evening. Now one more thing, you have to listen carefully, that whenever I am solving this on YouTube, these problems, take a paper and a pen and solve along with me. If you just see this problem, you will not be able to understand. If you just see it as a video, you have to solve it. Pause the video in between and solve the problem along with me in this video. Then only it will be easier for you to understand. And maintain a fair book. It becomes easier for you to go through these problems later on rather than seeing at the videos. So with this, we end today's lecture. If you have any difficulties, you can contact me.